Season 1 is all about that dental school student or that new dental school grad or that transitioning dentist, pretty much giving the financial keys to success now that you're in a transition period. So let's go and hop into this episode, and we hope that you enjoy it. If you are listening to this via audio, there is a video format. We actually shoot these live in the studio on video format. You can check those out either on Spotify podcasts, on YouTube podcasts as well. Head to our Team Financials YouTube page. You'll be able to find all of these different podcast shows within the video format, if that's what you choose to do. Welcome back to the Generational Dental Wealth Podcast. We're here with Kingsley Ifedi, CPA.
And Dr. Jamine Ifedi.
Awesome,
your doctor's favorite doctor.
I'm glad to be back with you.
Yeah, man. Today's going to be a fun conversation. Yeah. Today we're going to really just break down the dental CPA side of things. Side of things that most dentists aren't really accustomed to because we just get reporting and accounting done by you guys, but don't really understand how the relationship, how the dance should really go. Full transparency, we're not perfect at this, right? We're learning and we're growing throughout this entire process. And that's why it's going to be beautiful, because as we learn, we can continue to share our personal growth with you.
It's true.
So the biggest thing is throughout this entire journey that we're going to be recording, the biggest is the fact that we already have these conversations. We talk about a lot of this stuff off air.
We talk a lot.
And then people started to sit around in our conversation, because as we were starting a dental practice and getting things off the ground, more people started to be around. So the common question kept coming up. It was like, yo, if you guys are talking about this, can you guys record it so we can hear it on our drive? Yeah. Because it's a lot of great information.
Or your workout.
Or your workout. Or wherever you possibly are. You can be, hopefully you're not in class listening to this, because you should be paying attention. You can listen to it after class. But I kind of was that dental student listening to dental podcasts during class. But, it paid off, I guess. So, but the biggest thing is when it comes to our conversations, this Generational Dental Wealth Podcast is like a fly on the wall throughout the conversations we already have. It's really just giving an inside look on what does it look like when a dentist and a dental CPA have synergy that transcends beyond just the professional atmosphere, right? Because we are brothers, right? That means that we have a lot more things going on between us than just talking business, right? Business is a large component of our lives, but it is not the only component of our lives. Yeah. So this really just gives an in-depth look that hopefully one day when you find your dental CPA, you're able to have a kind of relationship where you can be transparent and vulnerable, and you can be able to share certain things about operationals or how things are going in your associateship. And then hopefully your dental CPA has that kind of relationship with you where they can, tell you you're doing fantastic here. If no one else has told you, you're doing a fantastic job. Or you know what? I know what you're capable of, and you can kick it up an extra notch.
Yeah.
So we're going to hop into a few Q&A sessions here and just trying to get a better understanding from a dental CPA's perspective, how this relationship should go and what they see from their perspective. We know what we see from our perspective as dentists, but not necessarily what goes on behind closed doors. So if you could just start by your journey to becoming a dental CPA.
Well, contrary to popular belief, accountants, we're more than just the bean counters, right? Or we're more than the call you get on April 15th saying you have this large tax bill. We're actually, pretty cool people, I would say. But specifically for my journey as a CPA, one of my biggest, I would say, motivations to want to pursue a profession in helping people financially was I wanted to be around business owners. I wanted to be around the people who were willing to bet on themselves, who were willing to say, you know what, even though it's not comfortable, I know that there is something further down the road in this journey that will be worth it. And I wanted to be alongside of those people. And so my journey as a dental CPA really started in undergrad. I did business management. It was very general. You do a little bit of accounting, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of everything, but you don't really get specific in anything. So I knew after my undergrad, I wanted to get really specific and get great at something. I knew I wanted to be in business and help business owners, but I didn't know how. So I sat down and I said, accounting could be a really unique opportunity to do that. And I had no idea what an accounting was. So story goes back to COVID. Everybody had time on their hands. Everybody pretty much wanted to pick up either something on the side or maybe learn a new skill. And I said, you know what? Why not learn taxes? Why not learn how to prepare taxes? Why not learn how to, help people, especially in a virtual world that it was, to be able to become better business owners? So pretty much went throughout that time back during COVID. And I said, I'm going to really master this skill. Preceding that, after COVID, obviously went into the master's program. So I studied the Masters of Accountancy at North Carolina A&T. Learned a lot of great professors there. Shout out to all my HBCUs and my HBCU professors. Really, really great people. And then following graduating from the master's program, went ahead and studied for four-hour CPA exams. And let me tell you, if you don't know what those exams are like, just Google it. Okay, just like, obviously as a dentist, you had to study for many different hours from many different topics, right? Same thing as CPA, everything from audit to tax to, gap accounting, to you just learn a wide variety of things. So right after the master's program went and just said, you know what, I'm going to focus on getting this license out of the way. And went ahead and did that. And now I'm the managing partner here at Team Financials. Where I get to help more people like you.
That's fantastic. Hold on, but you said something important though. So Are you saying you have to be licensed to be a CPA? Like, what's the difference between somebody who files taxes and somebody that's a CPA?
Gotcha. So really, really great question. Pretty much the difference between an accountant or an EA, there's a few different types out there.
What's an EA?
An enrolled agent by the IRS. Yeah, and they're just going to be focused just solely on taxes. But the biggest difference, I would say, is just the level of extra education that you had to do as a CPA. So as a CPA, not only do you have to have the standard 120 undergrad credit hours, you actually have to go sit for extra additional hours just to be able to be eligible to take the exam. So once you have the credit hours, so we call it here, not to get too much in depth in our world, but we call it the 4 E's. It's education, it is ethics, it is exam, and it's experience. So the education piece is, I believe it's 140 credit hours you have to have. Okay. The ethics exam, that's pretty easy. Everybody, you could probably take that right now and pass. It's just saying, do you know the right things to do if you are faced with them?
If you're ethical, you're saying you can pass it easily.
Yeah. If you're ethical, I'm not going to assume everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
But I know all of our listeners are. So you got the ethics, you have the education, the exam piece. Like I said, is 4-hour exams that you take. I mean, some people take over the course of 2 years, and I was fortunate to take in under just like 7 months. I was able to really focus and get it done. And then you have the experience piece. So all CPAs are required to have at least a year of working experience. And it's I'm not gonna lie, it's one step down from really, really just like I said, it's just everyday grind, man, and it really separates you from the pack for sure.
Okay, so since it says that every time takes time and required for you to become a CPA, what have you been doing before you became a CPA?
Yeah. So like I said, most CPAs and really all CPAs are required to have work experience before even applying for the license.
Okay.
So essentially, I've been an accountant for years, even before this opportunity to now go get the license. So, I was able to run, Team Taxes formerly, now we're Team Financials. I was able to run that for years, pretty much being the tax manager here and one of the managing partners where, we're filing business taxes, partnerships, S corporations, individual 1040s, right? Doing all of those things under the sun. And then also being the bookkeepers for our practice owners and for our business owners. I mean, outside of that, providing advisory. So what does it look like inside of your dental practice to say, okay, these are the bookkeeping numbers, but what do they actually mean? What are the tangible, pieces of information that we can give you that you can make a better decision tomorrow, right? For example, it could be, what is your production to collections ratio, right? You're producing, you're doing great, you're doing awesome, but what are you actually collecting on, right? What is the cash that's actually hitting your bank account? right? Because we can't go to the store and say, hey, I did this much in production. We have to say, this is what I did in collection. So that valuable piece of information, right? The advisory piece is pretty much giving you one more step than just the standard bookkeeping.
So from what I understand, you've already been running a tax company for years.
Yeah.
But there had to be some type of switch that said, you know what, I want to serve dentists. So when you're filing taxes for years, at what were you seeing within dentist particular returns that you were saying these are opportunity areas that if they capitalize on, they can really move into generational wealth, transforming territory?
Well, I think, first of all, we all know dentists are in a unique position to be high income earners as long as they just do the basic things correct.
Okay.
And in my experience, serving, dentists gave me the opportunity to really flex my CPA hat, right? When it comes to tax planning, when it comes to possibly, seeing how we can maximize, even what's going on in your business, it provided much more room than just a standard individual 1040, right? If you just have a W-2 and you come to me, all I'm going to do is be pretty much a data entry clerk and put your W-2 in the computer, just like TurboTax could. But what I recognized was I wanted to be more than, an accounting software. I wanted to actually be a professional sounding board, almost like a friend to you. And so that's really what I saw with dentists, where they were highly accomplished professionals, but needed that financial friend along in their process, man.
It's funny you bring that up because I always say to myself, like, Kingsley is like my dental best friend. Like, anytime that something pops up, anytime it's a financial related question, I have my MBA, so I'm able to sort through easily 75% of different scenarios. It's that 25% of scenarios that leaves that gray area, right? That maybe, you know what, I need a little bit of help with, right? And if you have your MBA, it might leave you 75%, right? If you don't have your MBA, honestly, if you've been in the practice of dentistry for years and years and years, you might only have 10% of gray area and 90% of things. The MBA doesn't determine anything, but what we need to do is start categorizing ourselves and figuring out where do we need help.
Yeah.
And when you do need help, who is going to help you? And I'm grateful that you are a dental specific CPA because you're able to now take scenarios that you see in other cases and apply it to myself.
Yeah.
You're able to take different questions that I have, right? Whether it be, how should I categorize such and such particular expense? How should I pay for a dental related conference expense in the appropriate manner? How should I go about handling my payroll for my employees in an appropriate manner? How should I go about different reimbursements? So just understanding those different areas really makes it easier for myself to be able to have that dental best friend. And that's something that we've been playing around with for a long time, and just having that dental best friend, having that dental CPA that's like that good cop, bad cop, or as we like to say, that good angel and better angel on one side, that, that's giving you good advice on how to pursue different financial topics within your life. So let me ask you this. From the returns that you've been filing, because I'm sure you've filed, I don't even know how many returns you filed at this point, but you have seen common scenarios between different filers. What are some strengths that you've seen on dental professionals' tax returns, and what are some areas of opportunity and growth that you've noticed?
Well, just for one, areas of opportunity and growth, just starting there, just organization, right?
Okay.
Every accountant, I'm going to tell you how to make your accountant smile this year. Bring him a beautiful set of books, put together, well organized, and ready to go. I promise you, you're going to see a huge smile from him. From every CPA, that is literally our holy grail of situations. So, I mean, dentists are no different, obviously, from just, business owners in general, just so busy, have so much on their plate. And, sometimes bookkeeping is the last thing on their mind, right? So just areas of improvement is just figuring out how can we help you be better organized? And not just for tax season, obviously, but so that you can have up-to-date information to make decisions from. I mean, you're saying, if you're doing bookkeeping once or twice a year, you're waiting 6 months until you get valuable information that you can be using today, right? And so there are so many pieces there that just have to be unlocked just simply by being organized. And I would say great thing about dentists, I think most dentists from the standpoint, are highly intelligent. So when we're able to have some of these different conversations, they're able to get it really quickly. Or when I say, hey, we need to go ahead and figure out how we can take bonus depreciation on this, they're willing because they understand that, we're in an industry that is just, I'm going to have to listen to my professional. Just like a patient comes in and they trust their professional, I feel like dentists in general are, more so than other business owners, trusting of their professionals.
Yeah. So one thing that we always talk about, anytime you talk about the differences, is that one of the strengths, just like you've already mentioned, is our ability to consume information, right? So when we are presented with a term that we don't understand, right, we're able to now look on YouTube and do our own research, right? Because naturally, dentists are scientists,
yes,
right? Like when we're problem solvers, we're fixers. So it's harder sometimes for us to take a step back and to be in a situation where we don't have the answer for, and we can't really solve it. It's kind of frustrating, to be honest with you. So it's good to know that I have somebody to help me through this, right?
Yeah.
The best way I can really speak on our relationship professionally is that Kingsley is like the glue, right? He might not have the answers for every particular project, but when I'm faced with a certain financial topic that I'm not well versed in, he is like the glue or the tutor to help merge the gap, right? So let's say, for instance, whenever we were buying our dental practice, when they were presenting certain financial scenarios on the working capital and when it could be taken out and how long the working capital draw period would happen, I knew about working capital, but I was not as familiar with the draw period. And for those who have never bought a practice before or know what a draw period is, it is a period of time in which you have access to funds at the same interest rate that you signed on day one. All right. And you have access for, let's say, 9 months to a year. And if you need it today, you can take it out today. Or if you want to need it a year from now, you can take it out from a year from now. And the biggest thing is interest does not start accruing until you take that money out. See, those are the certain things that, like, as someone who is well versed with business, I can understand if it's presented to me in a way that I can understand.
Yeah.
And by having somebody by my side, it gives me somebody who, I don't really have time to research what this draw period means for my organization. But Team Financial, can you disseminate this information and help me understand when I need to pull out what? How much do I need day one, Kingsley? How much do I need later? So Kingsley, one of the biggest things about our relationship is that as it's continued to blossom, I'm learning more that you are in kind of ways what I am as a general dentist is how you have positioned yourself as a CPA. I feel like you have found a very interesting niche in being a problem solver for dentists. Yeah. I know for myself specific, there might be topics that you might not necessarily know, but it feels like you have somebody on your team somewhere who can get answers. So I just want you to speak from a dental-specific CPA side of things. How do you go about fixing problems? How do you go about finding answers for your different clients?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good question. And you put it so perfectly, being the general dentist in a way of a CPA. I call myself the quarterback, right? Just like a general dentist may not have the answers to every single situation, they at least have some things in their toolkit, right? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial planner, right? But I do have the resources to be, like I said, a dental best friend and be able to quarterback you to where you want to get to. So I think really the first thing is just understanding, where do you want to get to? Just like there's different ways to make a cake, there's different ingredients you can use, there's different flavors. I just want to understand, what does that final cake look like for you? And from there, I can see, okay, these are the steps that you may need to take to be able to create that cake. The unique thing about me as a dental CPA is I was fortunate enough to be able to work within Empire, be able to go with the day-to-day, the 6 a.m. wake ups, the 8 p.m. closes, be able to interact with the different patients, being able to verify insurances, being able to pretty much do everything under the sun within the dental office without being on the clinical side. I was able to get that experience, which honestly, I don't know if there's any other dental CPAs that have that, right? And, I like to kind of consider myself, and having a fortunate opportunity to do that, I'm looking from the inside out. where most professionals may be looking from the outside in, right? So I understand the frustration sometimes, or the lack of time that you may have to be able to sit down 3 times a week with me, right? And I understand the schedule and the like I said, maybe the client or maybe the patient facing issues that might come up, because I've experienced them. I know what it feels like, to have 6 different people in a waiting room, and you're trying to attend to each of them and show them all, a great welcome and a great Empire experience, but feeling like, do I have enough today? Right. So, just the unique thing about, like I said, just a situation that, I was blessed to be in, being within Empire, and still now being within Empire, is the fact that, I know how it feels. I can almost feel it. Even now that I serve a capacity of making sure that on the financial and back end that we're good to go there in Empire.
My last question for you, Kingsley, is the simple fact of, how do you act as a general dentist within your realm as a CPA? Because I know, me personally, right, there are certain wisdom teeth extractions, certain root canals that I know will be better suited in an oral surgeon's office or in an endodontist's office, right, to get you into the best place possible. But ultimately, everybody comes back home, right? Mm-hmm. An oral surgeon or endodontist, they're not doing your cleanings, right? Gotcha. So they're not following up with you year after year, as you would, I guess, filing your taxes every single year. So tell me how, as a dental best friend, how do you act in that capacity as that home that everybody else goes to, even if you do get them to a financial advisor or you do get them to a lawyer? How do you work within that?
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, right, your CPA is going to be the one that has the most, I would say, consistent contact with. Okay. Typically, lawyers are going to be on a case-to-case situation. Financial planners may be when you're going through a transition or you want to set up, a certain life insurance policy. But your CPA, you can never really get away from us, right? And so we have this special access to almost, right, just like you can't lie to your doctor, you can't lie to your CPA, right? We have to know everything because we have to know how to cover you. So just pretty much going back to your question and figuring out how to, and like I keep saying, quarterback the situation is, it's okay not to know everything, but I'm going to say, you know what, how can I get you to the right resources? And that's really the most important thing. Just like a dentist, right, cares about the health of their patient holistically, whether it benefits them or not. Same thing here. I want to get you to the right professionals, whether it's me or whoever. I just want to make sure that you're well taken care of.
We're going to hop into more and more of that, man, just because once I started understanding the link between being a general dentist and your role as a dental CPA, how you're a connector of people, how you get us to specialists, how you get us back, how we get reports back from specialists on what was done. You get reports back and said, this thing is closed, this thing is open, or whatever it is like that. That's when I knew that this podcast was needed, because of such the uniqueness between what we do on the clinical side and what you do on the financial managerial side, and how they come together. But we're not going to continue to keep on rattling. We're going to wrap this episode up, and we're going to continue to revisit on the next one. Thank you for joining us on the
Generational Dental Wealth Podcast. See you next time.
Stay blessed.